Salut coders, this is Bisky here. Welcome back to another tutorial. This is a full hands-on tutorial where we are building a social media backend with Spring Boot and Neo4j. In the previous two tutorials, I showed you how to set up Keycloak, how to create our microservices and using console and vault. And we have an architecture that I showed you, and we created that, and we are going to follow this pattern. So in this tutorial, we are continuing with our development. This series will provide you with a practical real-world application development experience that you won't find anywhere else. If you are new to this channel, may you kindly subscribe, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever we upload new videos concerning this series and more tutorials that are coming. We are going to create a user, page, and post nodes, updating node details, establishing relationships between nodes like likes, comments, follows. Every week we will continue where we left off, adding new features and functionalities. Most tutorials out there use relational database, but in today's era, graph databases like Neo4j offer significant advantages for social media applications, including natural representation of social networks. Nodes and relationships mirror real-world social connections, making queries more intuitive. Efficient query performance. Neo4j excels at traversing relationships, enabling faster retrieval of complex social data like mutual friends or recommendations. Flexibility and scalability. Easily adapt to changes in your data model without the need of complex migrations. Features. We will explore integrating AI to enhance our social media app with features like personalized recommendations, using AI to recommend posts, pages, and friends based on user activity. Content moderation. Implement AI-powered moderation to detect and manage inappropriate content. Enhance user engagement. Utilize machine learning algorithms to analyze user behavior and optimize content delivery. Don't miss out on our unique opportunity to build a robust social media application using cutting-edge technologies. Subscribe now and stay tuned for our first session where we'll dive into setting up the project, creating the initial nodes and relationships. Let's build something amazing together. So by the end of this video, you'd be able to create nodes. These are the nodes. This is a user node. If you click this user node, you'll see all the relationship within this user. And you can see this user owns this page. And if you see to the page, you can see this page has this post. So by the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to create all these relationships of one user creating the page and the page posting, and you can see this same user, like the owner of the page, also commented to this. So the comment was say hello from API, and this user can also follow other users. In the Swagger, we are going to test with Swagger. You can see this is the other user ID, and you can follow that one. Then if you come back here, let me minimize this and let me open again. You can see this user follows this user. So all of this is going to happen through this video, and you learn a lot how to create these nodes, how to create relationships, how to remove these relationships. Like if I don't want to follow this user, I can come here and go to this delete method and I'll just execute it. And if I come back here, and I will maximize again. I'm no longer following that user. So let's get started. Okay, so before we start anything, I created, if you go to DevOps Script on Code with Bisq, I created a repository called database. In this way, that's where we are putting our database Docker Composer YAMLs, and we shall have something like MySQL or Postgres. I don't know which database are we going to use in future, maybe MySQL. So in the Neo4j, I created this Docker Composer YAML where we are using the latest Neo4j Docker, and the port that is going to run, it's 7074. This is for web, and this is for connection to when we are saving our data as nodes or get retrieving data. So this is for API. Then we have the auth. The username by default is Neo4j, so the username is going to be Neo4j, and the password is secret at 1234. And we are storing this in the data. So we want to persist the data so that when we restart our computer, our data will be stored in our local computer, so that we don't lose our data in case we restart the Docker Composer, because we want to store this data permanently. So this is crucial. You must add this data. Then you have to create an external network. So if you haven't done that, create Docker network, create social app network. So this is going to be our social app network, and everything will be in the one network. I'm using Docker because when we want to do the deployment in the future tutorials, it's going to be easy, because we are no longer looking for how to use Docker. I don't want to teach you how to do that. Let's just use this Docker Composer YAML files. So we need to run this, clone the project and run it. So I have cloned the project. This is the project. So we need to run this. Open in terminal. I'll just say Docker. Docker compose pull. So it will put the image. If you don't have that image, Neo4j, and you just say Docker compose app -d. So let me say Docker ps, so that we can see the running process. This is the Docker that we want. Let's say Docker logs -f for infinity. Yeah, you can see it has started, and this client is authorized, and these two folders are created. So that's where we are stored, where our database is being stored on our local. So we need to back up this database each and every time, because we are storing this database local. When we are in production, we need to write a script to back up this, because I'm not using the paid one. But if you prefer to use a paid one, you can go to Neo4j, and you can create an account, and you can get started with Aura. So you can use this one, the free one, and you can connect to this one, or this is the professional one, where there are, I think, automatic daily backups for 7-day retention. So this one is also good. You can use this one, $65 a month, and it's available for all these Azure, AWS, GCP. But for me, I'm using the local one with the Docker Composer YAML. I don't want to pay anything for now. I'm not yet ready for production, so we can stick to the local. So since we have this Docker Compose running, you have to visit this URL. I told you the port 774 is for Neo4j, and you can see this is our Neo4j, and it's running on this port, and I'm already logged in, I think so. So if you are not logged in, you just put username, which is Neo4j, and password, it's already in your Docker Compose YAML file, which is this one. This is your password. So we are okay. So everything starts from here. So we need to create the user nodes, the relationship, the post, the pages, and adding some recommendation in the future tutorials. But for now, let's integrate this database into our social service. So if you go to our social service, this is our social service, and we go to our POM XML. We need to add that dependency. We need to add the dependency here. And for adding that dependency, let's go to the Neo4j. Let's say Neo4j Spring Boot. And we go to get started. So here, that's where you read more about Neo4j, and they will show you how to run it using Docker, because it's a skill that every developer needs to know to have. Here you see the volume is data. It means you can store this data on your local. It's crucial. Then the username and password, we put secret at 1234, I think so. Then if we create a model and we say this is a person, like what you do with the relational database where you say at entity, here we just say at node. It's just the same. So Spring Boot, or here it's Spring Data Neo4j, and we need to sync this. So let's go and see which properties do we need to add for authentication. So we need to say Spring Boot Neo4j URI, then you put the URI, Spring Neo4j URI. URI, and we put the URI, and it's a bold. Since our Neo4j, it's on this port, we are using this 7687. So, and it's a local host. Let's see other. We need username, authentication username and password. Let's go again here. If you just say authentication, it will auto-complete here. Username, which is Neo4j, and password, which is, let's go to our Docker compose so that we don't make mistakes here. It's secret at 1234. Copy this, and this is the port that you saw when you're connecting to the database. So after doing this, now we are now connected to the database. So our application is connected to the database. I think this is now okay, and we can get started now. So I showed you that if you are working with this Neo4j, we need to create the entities that we are going to use. So in this project, I also added these ciphers. We need an entity code user. We need an entity code page so that a user can create a page code with Bisq. We need post so that user can post a story to a page or to their profile if they do not have a page. And we need comment. So these are the entities that we need to add. So the first one, it's a user. So let's create this one. So let's create here. I want to say package. I'll just say entity. Java class, and this one, it's a user. Remember to add this into Git. Here it's going to be at node because we are using nodes. It's no longer at entity. This is not a relational database, and this node is called user. Then we say private string, and we need the ID. As usual that you were doing, we just say add ID, which is from Spring. Then here we say add generated value, and our generator now here, generator class, this one is going to be a string. I want to generate this string UID string generator. So based on here, we have, let me close this here. On our Cipher, we need these properties ID. So this ID is just going to be a unique ID. We need a name, we need date of birth, we need all those things. So what I can do, let me add this private string name. Okay, gender, it's a string. Here it's a local date. I prefer local date, and it's going to be DOB, date of birth. And I need a language and country ISO. We need to know the language that they use on the application, either English, French, for multi-language support. And we need the country ISO to know where this person comes from, so that it's good for recommendation to recommend content based on the location also. So here we can add a getter, add setter. We are using Lombok. We added getters and setters, and I can say I want to use add builder. Let me just add OAX constructor and add no AX constructors. Okay, so I added this. As usual, you use getters and setters. So for this, don't worry. Don't worry about OAX constructors. If you want to set this ID, we can set this in the method builder. This is the builder pattern. I prefer to use builders, so that's why I add builders. So let's create another node, and this one I can call it a page. A user is going to have a page, right? So this is a page, and here I can change this to page. And let's see in our Cipher, what do we have for a page? We have name, ID, description. So here I forgot to add created date and updated date. So I'll add that one. We have page, name, and description. And we want to add local date time, which is created date. So we want to know when this was created. You see, it's going to be easy. With the skill that you currently have, you can start to work on this Neo4j. So here we are okay with this. We created a page, and for a user, it's a user, and for a page, it's a page. So let's see the other thing that we want to see here, another model. Let's create all of them, like the post. Post, it's going to be here when I said title, I think it's supposed to be post description. So let's just, it was a mistake, copy, because a post is just, we have a description. I'll just say post. And we can remove everything here. We'll add more fields later. Like the post can be edited. This one, we can just say Boolean. Like the post has been edited, to know that this post has been edited after it was created. So you can also add this later when we are creating the APIs for this. Let's go here. We have post and we have comment. And the comment here, I said title, just say comment description or a comment, it doesn't matter. So we just say copy, comment, so the node is going to be a comment, and the comment can have a description and also can be edited. Or if you want to say here, we just say the comment like this, it's fine. So we have created all our nodes. We have created comment node with these fields, which is comment here and edited and the dates. And we have created a post which is a post as a description, can be edited also. We have created a user with the date of birth, gender, language where the user speaks English, French, Dutch, Spanish, country where the user comes from for recommendations. And we have created this one, which is a page. A page can have a description and can have a name. We will add more fields here later. It's fine. Then in our page, we have added a node. If you are used to relational database, you used to say add entity. Here we are saying nodes. So everything started from the user. A user can create a page, and a page can post. A user can also post. If a user does not have a page, you can also add your post, and user can comment to a post. So that's all from here. But we did not add the relationships, and you are more concerned where are the relationships, how these relationships works. So a user here, a user can have a relationship like user can create a post, right? So if you go here, usually I don't prefer to add them here. These models, I just want to use them just to create. So a user can have post here. So like this, private list of pages, let's say page. A user can have pages. And in here, you can add a relationship. Here it's going to be a relationship. This one that is come from Neo4j. And here you can put the type. And your type of relationship, you can just say a user has pages, means this user has pages. But the problem with this, usually it's because if you go to the relationship, they do not support things like lazy loading. Think of someone we have developed, you posted million posts. So if you say get user, maybe you want to get this user by ID, you are going to retrieve all the details with the 1 million posts. Although Neo4j is fast, but we don't need this. So that's why I'm removing this. I just want to use these models just for creating our nodes only. For relationship, I have the ciphers that we already have for relationships. And I will show you how to add this through a Cipher queries. So I can cancel this. I showed you less loading is not supported. So that's why I'm not putting the relationship in my entities. So although on their documentation, they just say you can do that, but if you have millions data, it's not good for the application. So let's do things the right way. I'm here to guide you. So right now we have the user. Let's just create the repository. Package, I just say repository. So for repository, let's start with the user repository. It's the same like what you do on relational database, but I will show you why it's different with those relational database. Interface here. Extends Neo4j repository, and our entity is going to be user, and you can see it is annotated with a node, and here it's a string. If you see to our ID, it's a string. That's why you put that. So let's copy this one that we created. We need comment, page, and post. Comment, So we added our repository for user, and you put user here, and we are extending Neo4j repository. That's where we are going to write our Cipher queries. So if you want to know more about Cipher queries, just say Neo4j Cipher tutorial. So for Cipher queries, you can see these are the Cipher queries. So we are going to write these Cipher queries in our repository, and you can see these are the nodes. As I told you, we created a user and we shall add relationships, and this is the Cipher query to match this one. If this record exists, match is just to check to match the request. So you can see with the Cipher queries, you can see the Cipher query, this one, when it's being compared to relational database, you have to write all these queries, all these joins. So that's why we say Neo4j is better than SQL. That's why we wanted to use it on our social media application. So we have created our repositories. Now what we need to do, let's create our services so that we can create a node. So let's create, I think we have services package, we have them. So I want to create a user service. And it's an interface. So in this user service, the first thing that you want to do, let's say I can say void create user like this. We need to create a user, but this one, it's an entity. Based on best practices, it's not good to use entities. Let's create a record. Let's go to here and create a new record. I'll just say new user record. I prefer to do this, and it's going to be a record. And here in our record, we want, let's see what we have in our user here. We can say have a name, it's going to be a full name, local date, which is a date of birth, language, country ISO, and gender. We want to know how many people, like how many male, females who are using our applications, this for statistics. So now if I go here, it's okay. Let's go to our service again. And here I will just say, I will pass as a record, just say user record. Then let me add the implementation for that. And here it's going to be at service, at required Axe constructor. I want to use constructor dependency injection at SL for logging. And here we want to use our private final user repository. I told you that I want to use the builder pattern. So I'll just say user, this one from our entity, and I want to use this builder. From this builder, I want to say created at, means the current time, which is local date time now. Updated date. And you can country ISO, we can get it from user record, this one. ID, it's auto generated, so user record. date of birth, and we need also gender. We need the name. We need the language. I think we completed everything that we need. Then here we just say build. Then we need to create a record. We have to save this user. So here, let's create a new request for copy and paste. This one, I'll just say, let me remove this record. I know it's a record. I'll just say new comment. And a comment, it's going to have just a description. We are going to have this description. We are okay with the comment. So for a comment, we have this. So let's go to the service and create a comment service. Let's just copy what we already have and paste. I'll just say comment. And here it's going to be a comment, new comment. Then let's add the implementation. Then it's going to implement this one. And let's copy this annotation. We need them. At service that require accent. Here, let's now make private final comment repository. And we now need to create a comment. .builder updated date created date I think we have the comment, which is new comment dot. This is the comment description. Let's see else what we have. Comment. Let's just say edited to false, default to false. Dot build. Here it's a comment. Then from our repository, we can now save this comment. So if we do this, we can get the saved comment, and if we come here, we can have the IDs which we are going to use in future. So let me do the same here. This is the saved one, and when it's created, a new ID is going to be created, which is an auto-generated one, and we are going to use it for our relationships. So it's okay. So we need to, I want to do now for the post and for the page. So let's copy the comment, because the comment is almost the same as the post. I'll just say post service. new post. Here I'll just say copy and I'll just say new post. So I'm doing this to make it easier even to maintain the project. In our post service here, it's going to be new post. Then I will just copy the comment service implementation, this one, and I'll change it to post implementation, service implementation. So some of the things matches, so I'll just say Control Command Z, Command F, Command R. Where there's comment sensitive, I'll just say post and I'll replace all. Here it's a description, and the repository here it's going to be post repository, and I'll refactor this to post repository, and I'll refactor this to post. Here I'll just say post service, and here it's create post. It's a new post. So this is what you can do if you want to refactor things, to do things very fast. You can just do this because the logic is also almost the same. We are creating a post and save it as a node. So far we do not add relationships. These are things that we are going to do next after we created a post. So after doing this, we need to come to we need now for a page. Let's create a page service. Let me copy this post. And here I'll just say new page. Let's see in our module what do we have. I think a page has a title or a name. Let's see. A page has a title and a description. So new page, here I'll just say from the request I can say title, and I'll just say string description. But in our backend it's a name, so don't worry about that. Sometimes we need to hide things. Let's go to the page service. New page and create page. Then let's add the implementation. Implements this one. Add service. Add required Axe constructor. Add SL for logging, and here private final. Page repository. Let's create our page builder. Description, it's new page description. Then name, it's new page dot title. Let me format this well. created it. It's local date time now. Updated like this dot build. Then we just say page repository. Then we can save this and we can get the saved page. Right now we just created entities without any relationships. Let's go to the APIs. Let's create the APIs so that I will show you how to save this with the API, and we need to move to relationships. Then you to understand this better. So let's move to APIs. I think we have the API. We want to have let's just copy this one. So I'll create this one, which is a user API. And here I'll just say users. And we want to create a new user. And here it's supposed to be a request body. And we want to say new user record. And here it's supposed to be a user service. So from this, we just say new user, create, then we pass our new user record. And for the response, it's supposed to be 201. So we just say status, HTTP status, created dot build. So we created a new node here, and the status 201, it means a new record has been created. If you update, you need to return a 201. That's the standard. So let's now create another one, which is a comment post. Let's do that. Comment API. As usual, let me just copy this because I want to replace somewhere. So here, let's change this to comment service. Comment service like this. Here it's going to create comment, and here it's a new comment. So let me just say request here. So it will create a new comment. Here is supposed to be comment. Comment. Let me remove this create. And let me go to user. I want to remove this because the post, we know the post is for creating users, and you create a new user with this. So let's just copy. I want to now paste post API. Here just say posts, right? And here post service. Here it's supposed to be new post. Here it's create post. My ID is not working fine here. Let me try to add this manually. Import here dot post service like this. So we have imported, and we can create a post here. And let me go to the comment API. Here I made let's refactor here to be comment service. And we can now create a page API. Page service, this one, and here it's a new page. This is a new page, and here it's a new create page. New page here. And here just say pages. So all of our APIs related to pages will go into this API. So you see in future where we are retrieving data from the page, updating. So right now we have created this. We have created our API for user, and we have created our API for user, our API for post, our API for page, and this one. So what we can do now, so I have added this configuration for Swagger, this dependence for our paid documentation. We are not using Postman from now on. We are using the Swagger, and I have added the configuration in our config folder, which is Swagger config. And in this is just the configuration. We are creating a bin for OpenAI, and also we customizing our security to use Bearer token. So let's run the application again and start to send a request, and we want to see what is going to happen with our APIs. I hope everything would be working very fine. So if I come here, let's open our, let me close this. I don't think we still need it. So from here, it's going to be localhost, and it's running on port 2025, and we are having this Swagger. So social Swagger UI index.html. So it's fine. So we have this now. So if I start to create a new user, let me try out right now. But I have one problem that I created here for an ID, right? Let me come here. For an ID for a user, I don't want to have duplicate IDs here. So for ID we want to use the ID from Keycloak. So let me remove this auto-generated, and we need to set this ID from Keycloak. So if I come here, go to user, where I was creating this user, I need to set the ID now. So for now, let's just say the ID is the test12334. This is my ID. So here we will get this result from the security service. I'm not sure if I added security service or it's already there here. We have added security service. So let me just use this one. So here we need to add this. We want to get the ID from the bearer token, and I will just say security service. So the user must be logged in for them to create this get user ID from the Keycloak. So let's restart this. So if the user tried to create again, we are going to have a conflict. So it won't create another record because another record with the same ID exists. So let's now come back here, and from here, if I try to do this, let's say full name is Bisc dot date of birth, let me leave like that, language it's EN, country it's BE, and gender it's male. So if I send this request, I'm getting 401 because I'm not authorized. Let's log in first with our postman and get the bearer token. So this is the user that we created on the previous tutorial. So I want to use this user. So we have the bearer token. Let me copy the bearer token. And we want to use this user to test our requests. So here, I'll just come here. I'll click authorized and I'll paste my request, and I do this and I click close. So let me send a request now. So we get a 201. It means this user has been created. Let's check into our Neo4j. You can see we have this new user. This is the user, and the ID is you can see this user. The ID is the one that is the user from the Keycloak. So this is the user, and the gender, it's male. So now we have a user, and we have created a user, and our user have this ID. So when we first time register a user, we just need to create a user with these default values with the ID and also sort of things like the male, gender, date of birth. So now we need to create a page for this user. So to create a page, you can come here. You can see here we have the API to create a page. This is a user and this is the page. And for a page, it's going to be simple. The title of our page, it's going to be Code with Bisq. And it's a programming page. Yeah, it's a programming page. So if I execute this thing, it will create another record. Let's go to our Neo4j and you see we have this page. We are now have the two nodes, page and a user. So far we don't have any relationship and we don't know which user has created this page. So we need to add relationship. When you create a page, we need to add a relationship that this user, which is Code with Bisq, has created this page. So we need a line from this user to the page. So let's go to our relationship. Let's deep dive into the relationship, and they are going to be simple and easy. So if you go to our Cipher queries, you need to fetch the user. So the user, we know that we are using the by user ID, and we need to fetch the page, the ID of the page which we just created, and then we add a relationship. So let's test this by going into our. So if you are using like JPA, you write select, but here we write match. So if you write match here, now we want to fetch a user first, and for a user we just say user, and remember, so here we put the curly braces and we just say we want to fetch a user of this ID, right? And we can now return this user. So for the ID, if I click this user, you can see if I select this user, this is the ID which is from our Keycloak. So it's going to be simple because these IDs are the user's ID. So if I do this and if I run this command, here it's supposed to be user here, and I'll run this and I managed to get this user. So we need to fetch now the page of the page that we just created. So for the page that we created, we need to say here, because it's a node, so it's a curly brace. So just say page here, and we just say page, and for the page we need the ID of the page. In the ID of the page, let's look for the ID of the page. This is the page, and it has an ID, and it is a random which was created, like it's a UUID for this one. For here we need to paste this ID here, and we can return a page also, and it will return two nodes. So far it returned two nodes between this page and a node. The problem is that we don't have any relationship. If you have a relationship now, it will show an arrow that this user created this page. So we need to take this query and we can add a relationship to it. So what we can do here, so we can now create, so if you want to add a relationship, let's do it. Let's make sure our query runs first in this web, then we can take it into our Java code. So here we just say merge this. We want to merge a user, and this user is the one who created this one. And here now we need to put a relationship here. So our relationship is this one. This user owns this page, means that user is the one who owns that page. So I can come here and I can do this. So this user owns this page, and after doing this, we have the relationship. So we want to add like the properties. You can add the properties. So here, let me remove this now. I don't want to return this. So we need now to say, if this user owns this, we need a way to set the created time when this relationship was created. Or if you want to remove this, we can remove it also. So we need to know when this relationship was done. So for that, you can see from our query, we just copy this, which is a relationship. So when it's first time, we run the command, which is on create set. But when you are updating a record, we just need to update the time. So that's all that we can do now. So if you try to run this query, let's see what's going to happen. You see 2 properties created, 1 relationship. And so we now see we have this now. So if I create this user, if I expand this user, you can see it shows that this user owns this, and we have the properties in the relationship, which is this time and this time, which is this relationship was created. So it's now easy in our code. We need now to copy that query and add it into our code. So let's copy the query that worked for us, and we know this user has created the page. So this is the query, as same as this one, and we can now go to our repository, which is so that one, it's a page repository because we were creating a page. So what I can do right now, so we just say void create user page relationship, like this. No, I don't want to put anything for now. Here we need to say add query. If we put 3 quotes, it means we can put our query and the way it may multiple line. So I can paste this query and I can run the format. So here we need to pass the user ID. So we don't hard code it. We need to pass the page ID. So from this now, what I can do is I can just say we need a parameter, add param. This one I can say user ID, and it's a string user ID. And I need also a page. Here it's a page ID. Here it's a string. Page ID. So for us to bind this data, we need to just say $8, like this one, and just say page ID. And here we just say $8 user ID. So by doing this, we can create a relationship. So we need to call this method as soon after we create a page. So let's go to our page when we are creating a page here. And from here, let's add also security service, because this is the user who is creating the page. Then we just say security or we just say page repository dot create this relationship. We need the user ID, which is the current user who has logged in, who is creating a page, and also the page ID, which is the one being saved here. Then we just say get ID. So by doing this, a user can create a page and we add a relationship. So let's run our application and test if everything is working fine. This page, I can say this one is a Neo4j. Maybe the Neo4j has decided that to create a page on our platform, Neo4j page. And let me log out and put the new bearer token, and I authorize. I will close this one. And then I'll click execute now. So we got a success now. So let's see how many pages are we going to have now. We have now 2 pages. We have this Neo4j that we just created. Let's expand this one. You can see this one and Neo4j. There's now a relationship between this Neo4j, means this user owns this page. So let's just expand also this one. You can see if I expand, so the same user has 2 pages, Neo4j and Code with Bisq. So we have created our relationship within our Java application. A user can own a page, can own multiple pages. So we are done with this. So it's now easier to create a post. Means if you are creating a post, we need to know the page ID. So let's go here to our API and let's go to the API, the post API. So if you are creating a new post, this one, we need to know the page. So I can say here, let's modify this, and I will just say post, right? And I'll just say page. Here we just say page ID, and here we add a path variable. String ID. Then in our create post, we need to modify this so that we can push this post ID. So we need to know, here it's supposed to be page ID. So we need to know this post is for this page, and here we can pass this ID from our request. So what we can do now, let's copy the page ID and let's go to the implementation. So we now have the page ID. So we want to create a post for that page, and it's going to be easy. I showed you here, we created a post. We need to add that relationship. So as usual, let's come back here. Let's try to create a post from our API. Right now, let me just test creating a post here. Let's go to the post API. So far, there's going to be no relationship. I'll just say awesome tutorial. This is going to be our post, and I'll send a request. Yeah. So if I go to the Neo4j, if I click this, you can see we have this post now. But this post has no any relationship with the page, and it must belong to a page. So to solve this issue, we currently know that we have a page ID and we have already created a page. So what we can do, we need to say match as usual. We need, let's see, this is the ID. This is the ID of our new post. So what I can do, match here, I'll just say post, and this post is for this ID full colon, and I can paste this, and this is our post, and I can return post, and our query is going to work fine. Then we need to find the page. Now we've just put a comma, and we are looking for a node of a page, and we just say page like this, and we can say ID. Let's look for the pages that we currently have. The page. We want to post. The post belongs to your Neo4j. So let me copy this one, and I'll paste it here. And here I can return the page. So now we have the post and we have the page. So we have the post and we have the page. We need now to create a relationship. As usual, I told you, here we write merge, because merge is responsible for adding relationship if they do not exist, or update them if they exist. So what we need to do, just say post, and here you need to specify the relationship that you want. Relationship, and means this page, maybe you can say this page owns this this post, means we have the page owns this post. But I have created this Cipher queries. I want to make sure that I use the correct terms that I used. Okay, this page owns the post. So we are okay. I think they are using artificial intelligence to help us here. So I can remove this, and as usual, if it's create state, let's update this so that if the relationship exists, it won't create again. If the relationship exists, it won't create another relationship again. You just update the properties, which is the updated head. So if I do this and run this, you can see if I come back here, so let's go to the page right now. Let's go to the post, and let's try to expand this. You can see this Neo4j owns this post. I made an error here. When I updated this, it's supposed to be, I will show you how to delete those things. When I said page owns, I said page on page instead of page owns this post. So we are okay. This is the query that you want, means this post, this page owns this one. So if I expand this one, you can see we can identify the user who created this page. So let me copy the query, and this is the query that you want to use. So let me copy it, and let's go to our code, and we want to do it in the post repository. So in our post repository, we just say add query, as usual, and we can paste our query, and here we can just say void create page post relationship, like this, and at param we need a post ID, and here we need a page ID. I told you previously, here we just say put $. We want to fetch for the page $page ID, and here we want to fetch for the $. post ID. Usually I prefer to let me try to format this. Yeah, I prefer to put a space here. So we are okay with this now, and this is our relationship. So it's going to be easy now if you go to the post implementation, and here we just say post repository dot, then we put a post ID, which is a save dot get ID, and a page ID, which is come from our request. So by doing this, I think we are okay. We've managed to create a post for a page. Let's see here. Page ID, post ID. So let's test our implementation now. So what I need to do now is to increase the 9082. I want to increase the expiry time of our token. So my client is this one. If I go to the clients, let me check the client that I'm using right now. It's a Spring app. So I go to Spring app and I go to the advanced, and here in the access time, I just want to increase them. I'll just say one day, and here I'll just say 1 day also, so that I don't create this token always. And I'll just save. So my token will expire after 1 day. So if I send a request now, I have this bearer token. I will copy it and it will expire after 1 day. Let me come back here and let's go to our Swagger. Since we modified our URL for sending posts, we need to refresh this. And I can paste our bearer token and I can close it. So let's say I want to try out the post, a new post. Hello devs, how are you this weekend? Then I need the page ID now. So from this, I have 2 pages. If I go to page, maybe the post is for this page. I need to copy this page ID, and I can come to my Swagger and I can paste this one, and I can execute now, and I can get a 201. So let's see what's going to happen with this page. You can see it's now have this page, which is this post, which is hello devs, how are you? So we have created a page, and a page can now create post. So we need also a user to create post. So let's go to the users. This one was for page. So we need also a post for a user. So we need to find a user also. Here when we were saying page, we just say user. And we need to pass the what? The user ID. The user ID. And I'll paste here. And here it's going to be a user ID. Page, here it's user. Create user post relationship. Then here it's supposed to be user. And this user, we now have this user owns this post. So we are okay like this. So here in our, here when we are calling this, we were saying this it's a post for, this is for create post. I think let's refactor this. Shift F6, create page posts. And here let's say create user post. For a user, we don't need to pass the the user ID, and we can come here. What have I done? Okay. So for this, we just need to copy this one as it is, and we need now we can refactor this one, new post. Then here we create. So here you say create user relationship. Here it's a post ID, and here it's a from our security service. I think we have security service. We don't have it here. So let's just say security service. So it's the user who is currently logged in and who is creating a post. So you can create a post for someone. You create a post for a user who is logged in. So by doing this, we can create a post for this user. So let's see if our query is fine. User, and you look for the user ID, which is this one from the parameter, and this user owns this post. So it's okay right now. So we need an API for this. So for the API, it's going to be the post again, but this one, we don't have to pass we don't need to pass this. So create, and I can remove this. And the user post is just a request. So by doing this, we are okay. So let me reload, and we can test this. So I just want to copy our API because I want to refresh the page because we have added a new API. So if I do this, let me see how many users do I have here. If I click user. Okay, currently I only have one user. So this user is going to create, if I expand this, you can see here, this user has created this page and this page. But a user can also create a post. So what I can do now, let's go to the page for the post. Yeah, this one. So let me add our bearer token. So this API without a page ID is the one that creates a request, that creates a post. Hello, my friends or followers. Then I can create this, and I'm expecting to get 201. So if I come here, if I do this for this user, you can see we have now 3. Which one? Hello, this one, it's a post now. This one, it's a post. If I click it, you can see this, it's a post. If I click this, it's a page. So we have managed to create pages, post of a user. So what we need to do now, if we create a post, we need to add a comment. So we need users to add comments to this post. So let's dive into that so that user can also post their comments. So let's go to our, now you understand the logic. I think there's no need for me to test it there. So what we can do now, let's just come here into our comment repository, and we have also post repository. So for a comment, we comment to a post. So what I need to do is just copy this post, and I'll go to comment repository. Here we create comment post relationship. So we can find a post, and we can now find a comment. So here we just say comment. And this is the ID of the comment ID. So what I can do, I can copy this into here. It's going to be a comment ID, and the first one is a post ID. So based on our cipher, let's see the name of the relationship that we are going to have for a comment, post comment. So it means this comment belongs to that post. So the comment belongs to a post. So what I can do, I can come back here. So this comment belongs to this post. It's self-explanatory. That's why we use Neo4j. And by doing this, we are able to create that. So what I can do after creating a post here, after creating a comment, let's go to a comment service. Here we need to create that relationship. So what I can do is comment repository dot create this relationship, and we need a post ID. So here it's supposed to be string, and we can pass a post ID, and we need the comment ID. So we added that relationship, but we are going to have another issue. We don't know the user who commented this. So let's do this. So here we need to pass this URL requires a post ID. So what I can do, I can just do this, and I'll say post, and then I'll just say post ID, and it's a path variable like this. Here from ours it's a string, and I can pass this post ID. So if I run this, I can create a comment and a relationship can be added there. But the problem that we have, we are going to have a relationship between comment and post. And we want to know also the user who has created that post. So we need that relationship. Let's go to our Cipher, and I'll show you. So you can see we have this one. We need to find also the user and the user ID and the comment ID also. So we need this query again to update, to add that relationship. So let's come back to our comment repository, and in here we can do this, and I can paste this also. Then here we need a user ID. User ID. Then we already have the comment ID, so I'll just say $user ID. So here we need to add a width here. So the comment that we fetched here and the post that we looked here, we want to pass them to the next query, because these are two different queries. So now we can now find the user, and after finding the user, we just say this user posted comment, and the comment that we just find on top here. So the issue was that I just duplicate this. So this Cipher is supposed to pass the data. The width is just for storing the variable and pass them to the next. If I want to add another query below here, I'll just say width and the user that I created here. So let's test by creating another post here. Amazing post. We need more of this kind. Then we say thank you Bisc. Then I can execute this one, and we get a 201. So if I come to the comments, so far I have these 3 comments. Let's see the one that I just created. if I click the comments title, we want the one with thank you Bisc. Yeah, this is our, so we have this one, which is thank you Bisc, this post that we just created with this title. Amazing, we need more of this. And you can see the user who posted this comment, and we can know the user who posted that comment, and that comment belongs to this post. So you can see this user has posted two comments, like posted a comment, and he posted a comment to the same post. You can see we have these two arrows showing that this comment is from this user, and this comment is from this user, pointing to the same post. So this is how we can add relationship, and this is our first video where we implemented relationship of one node to another. And for traversing this, it's going to be easy. We will see in the future tutorials how we are going to traverse. And you know, based on what we have here, we created the posts. You can see we created the post, we created the relationship. I think we are left with the updating the node, which is the node, the title and description, updating the first name, and updating the logos, and updating the post description. So let's go into that. And we are also having this Jira to help us where what we are supposed to do in each video tutorial. So we can now go to update the post. So for updating, it's easy. We can come here. Let me close all this. So if you want to update a post, let's say this post, we want to update this post, and we want to update the description, and the updated will be set to true. So what we need to do, we need to fetch the by ID. So this one, it's a post, and we can update the post. And I told you need to fetch it by ID. And we can put the ID, which is this one. So after putting the ID, let's see if first thing we have to return a post to make sure that our query is working fine. So we have this one, so we need to update it. So for updating now, let's remove the return because we don't want to return anything. We just say post dot, we want to update edited, and for edited we set it to true. So here we need to say set post edited to true, and then we want also to say post dot description. We want to set the description to something like hello, like let's say updated posts hello users, right? After doing this, we can also, let's try to run this one. It's fine. We have an query issue here. Let's put a comma. You see the property has been updated. So let's see, let's expand it. What was the post ID? This was the post. I want to do this. I will paste this and I will return. Let's return it, and you can see the details. You can see updated post say hello. So we are fine. So what you discover that after putting the set, you put just the comma. It's the same way that you do with the SQL. So this is the query that we need to update the post. So let's come here and let's go to the post repository. So this one is for updating description. We are in the post void update post description. And here add query as usual, and I can do three of these. And let me format this. And here we need the post ID and the description. So here it's going to be our post ID and here it's going to be our description, dollar description. And then let's just copy this. We need also maybe the updated at here, post dot like this. And here it's showing an error. Let's put a comma. So our query is being validated in the IDE. So by doing this, we can look for the post and we can update this value and the edited will be set to true. So let's create an API just to update this one. So this was for create post. And I want to create one for update post. And let's go here. And this is our method. And we want to have update post. So here we just say update post. This one is for updating posts. Let's implement the logic. But when we're updating a post, remember we want to know the post ID. So here, okay, on our URL, this one we need a post ID here. So just a string post ID. So here, let's add this. We missed this one. And then from our repository, we just say dot update post. We put the post ID and we put the update dot get description, and we can update our post. And in our create user post, let's create, it's supposed to be a put mapping. And there it's update. And here it's a put mapping. Here it's update post. And here let's say the ID that you want to update, the post ID. Add path variable. Let me copy this. And it requires a post ID, which is an ID. this one. So by doing this with our API, we will be able to update a post. So this is the query. We just say find the post by ID. Now set the new values that you want to update. We are okay with this now. So let's try to update the same post again. And I'll copy our bearer token. So far I'm not logging in because it will expire after this amount of time, which is 1 day. So let me reload. Since we added a new API, we need to reload this, and I'll just put this this new bearer token, and we can go to the post. Now we have this one, and we can click try out, and let's copy the same post ID that we did this one. So updated from API. That's okay. Let's execute this. We get a 201. So let's see. Let's try to look. I think I have to return this one. You can see updated from API. So we've managed to update our post, and the edited is true. And the time we updated has changed. This is the current time that I did these changes. So right now we are happy with the updating the post. So let's see what we have in our Jira. We need to update post. We need also to update maybe a user made a mistake, want to update a comment. So it's going to be the same thing. Let's go to our post repository, and let's copy this. It's a simple one, comment repository. Here it's a comment. Remember, here it's a comment, and here it's supposed to be comment ID. We are looking for a comment first before we update it. Then for a comment here, when we are creating our comment, we're not using description. We have the field called comment. So take note of that. Here it's a comment, and here let's change this to comment. This is the object that we are updating. So update comment. So here we are just updating the comment, and the comment is like the description. It's okay. The comment is just the description that, okay, we are fine now. So what we can do in our post service here, we created something like this. Let me do this. Let's go to the comment service also and say update comment. Comment, and here it's a comment ID. Let me just say ID, and I can do this, and I just say comment repository. It's comment repository dot update comment, and here I'll pass the comment ID and the description. By doing this, we can update. Let me just copy I love to copy things, especially things that were working, and I'll just to comment API, and I'll paste this, and here I'll just say comment service, then update comment. And here I made a mistake because my comment service is supposed to have a model, which is, let me copy this one. There's no harm. of having more models. Update comment, copy, update comment. I'll do this and I will come here and when I'm calling here I need to update this too. Let's test our comment API and we want to for this post ID, so let's try it now. And here we just say hello from API and we need the post ID. So let's look for the post. If I go to the post, let's take one here and this one. I want this post, this ID. Let me grab this one and test it with this one, and I'll send a request and we get 201. And let's now try to expand it. You can see we have this comment for this post and you can see hello from API. This is it, and it was posted by this user, which is my user, also a comment to this post. So this is how we can achieve this, and we have managed to create the post for this comment. So can you update these details? Can you create an API and service to update these details? I also did the same and I will show you the code once you are done. This is your task. Can you do that? And we can continue and see how you can achieve this. It's going to be the same as updating the comment. Here we are updating the user details and also updating the page details like page description and page name. So what I can do now, let's go to we need a user to follow another user. So we need to add a relationship of one user following the user. So if you go to my Cipher, I have the query for user following another user. So we just look for one user and follows another user. So this is how it works. We fetch for a user and then we search for the second user and then you can follow that user. So we need to go to our, so what I can do, let me just here in my create user API, let's go to the service. In fact, for now, when I was creating using this is the best way. So what I want to do, I just want to create the ID using the UUID. Then we uncomment this later, UUID. So here we want to create a dummy user. Let's create it and we can test with that. If I go to my API and I can go to this user, let me try out here and I just say test user 2. In language I just say FR, country BE, and gender, this is a female, and I want to execute this one. Yeah, if I go here, you see we are going to have two users now. The one that this one, which is an FR, this one, which I just created. Let me create another one just for testing. I'll just say user 3 and I execute this user and I'll say user 4. Let's have many users. Yeah, now let me do this now. Let me put the code that is working correctly and I can remove this one for random UUID, and I can reload this. So what I want to do now is like we want these users to follow one another. So you see this one is not following any user. So we want this user to follow maybe this one. So the query for this is going to be simple. Let me come here and I'll just say, let me delete this. Then I'll say user one like this, and it's of node user. It's of node user, and I'll say ID. The ID of this user. I want this user. I want to find this user. And I'll look for another user again. User 2. User. And the ID of this user, it's going to be, let's look. I want this user to follow this user. So I will copy this one. So I will say return user 1 and user 2. User 1, user 1, comma, user 2. Then let's see the details. So this is our screen. Yeah, we have user 1 and user 2 here. So let me maximize here. So from this user 1, so I want this user 1 to follow user 2, and we have a relationship here. So what I want to do, let me just copy this. I want just to copy. Then here we say merge. Let me put in caps. Merge user 1 like this one. Here I'll just say follows. In the let me say relationship and follows user 2. So this is our query. So it's going, let's put this arrow, means user 1 follows user 2. So if I run this one, let me run it. Sorry, here it's supposed to be, it's a node user 2. And I'll run this. One relationship has been created. So what I can do, let me just now see the relationship. I'll just say return user 1, comma, user 2. And let's see now what is really happening. And I'll go to the graph. You can see this user 1 follows user 2. So this is the concept. This user 1 is following this user 2. So we want to add this in our code. So let's implement this into our code. User 1 follow user 2. So if you go to our user repository, we already implemented some relationship before. Let's look for where we can say void user. So we're going to have user 1 and string user 2. So here, remember, for users, we need to put the params. And we want user 1 to follow user 2. So after doing this, add query, let's add query like this. Like I showed you, match match user one, like this one, like this, comma, match user two, like this. Then we have user one and user two. Then we need to add the relationship I showed you where we are using this one. We need to merge. So let's just copy this and come back to user on create set, so that we will not have two relationships. Here we must remove this match because we're already in the match query. Here it follows. So it means this user one is following user two. The user one, the first parameter that you are going to pass here, is going to follow user two. So here we just need to update here and copy here and paste here. And we can format our code. So let's now create this into our service. So let's go to our service. Let's call that method into our service. So here it's follow user, and we want to pass the user that you want to follow, string user ID, and we can implement this. Then in our user repository, we just say this user followship, which is security service, and I want to follow this user ID. So this user, you see, user one means my current user is the only, I want to follow this user two. So user one follows user two. So that's what we can do now. So here we need to add a put mapping, and then we say follow. So here it's users, and then we just say ID, and we just say follow, and it's a path variable. Follow user, we want to follow them. So based on the API users and the user with this ID, we want to follow him. Then we can update this, and we have followed that user. So by doing this, we are now okay. We can follow a user. So the same logics that we have done here, we can do the same. Let's go to the page repository. And let's say user follows. Here we need the page ID. And let me change here now to say user ID. Then we are now looking for a page. Then user, this user follows this page. So this user here is supposed to be user. We refactored to this, and we mean this user is going to follow this page. The relationship here user 1 follows this page. So let me add this arrow, meaning our relationship, to know where the arrow is pointing to. So like what we did here, let's just copy this one, and we can come to our, or let me copy this one and go to our page service. So we know the user, so what we need is the page ID, which is the ID. And we can implement this page repository dot users follow, and here we need the user ID. Secret service get user ID means the current user, and the page ID, and this ID for the page. And we need to come here, here we just say follow. And I need this path variable. So let me refactor this. It's going to be follow page. So here follow. So by doing this, we can test our application. Now we have managed to follow, one user is able to follow another user. So what we can do now, let's go to our APIs and let's refresh them. So we have, in this user, we need the API. We have created an API to follow another user. So this is the user that you want to follow. So as my user, I want to follow, maybe let me look for the user that I can follow. Maybe I want to follow this user. Yeah, because mine it's a male. I want to follow this user, and I can paste this, and here let me copy the token because I just refreshed the page, and I'll paste this and authorize. So if I do this, execute this, yeah, the relationship has been created. Because, so let me try to see also here. You can see this user, it means my user follows this user, and this user also follows this one. So this is how the relationship works. So if I expand here, I can also follow this user also. Let me copy this user and come here, and I can execute this one, and let me expand. You can see my user, you can see this user, my user, I'm following this user, and I'm also following this user, and it shows that this user, from both of us, this one is famous, so you can use them for recommendation or on our AI, or find the mutual friends. So this is how we can achieve this. So it's also the same. We have created the followership for user, and also for a page. It's okay. It's going to work the same. But what happens if you want to unfollow a user? Here, if you want to unfollow a user, as usual, we just say, I just want to unfollow. If the relationship is there, user, okay, user 1 unfollows user 2. So what I can do it's like if you go to the query as usual, you see, let's edit query, add query. We need to find a match between these two relationships. So what I can do, we can copy this. First thing is to find a match between the two. And here we need to put, we know this user, we put a relationship between these two. So this was the relationship, user 1 follows user 2. So this was the relationship. So we want to delete the relationship between these two. So what we can do now is just say delete relationship, this one, and we can do this. So by doing this, it means this user 1 no longer follows user 2. So we are removing the relationship between these two. So we can now come here, and here in the follows, let me do this. Here it was follow user, then I'll say unfollow. Then here I'll just say unfollow. Here it's user 1. So we can now remove this. So it means I'm the one who is, I don't want to follow this user. So if I copy this, let me copy this and go to the implementation and paste this here. And I can come now to my, this one, and I will say delete mapping, because I'm deleting a relationship. I'll just say unfollow. Then I will delete that relationship. So let me copy now this ID. I think we need to reload now, because we have now another API, which is a delete this one, and I will put the bearer token, authorize close, and then in my delete mapping, I want to put the user that I don't want to follow. So this was my user. I don't want to follow this user again. So I will copy the ID of the user that I don't want to follow, and I'll paste it like this. And I got 2-1. So if I do this, so you can see this user, my user, I'm now following one user, which is this one. So this is the user that I'm now following. Previously I was following 2 users. So let me unfollow also that user. Yeah, if I come back here, if I do this, you can see I'm no longer following. There's no relationship to follow from one to another user. So there's no relationship. So this is how we can follow and unfollow user. So on the API gateway, I added this I added security, we added it together, but I added the filtering. So for social services, it's social public, so that it will allow everything that is in social services. And for messaging services, because we are adding this as a context path, so we need to allow this so that they will be redirected to the social service or messaging service, so that our requests are not unauthorized here. Then in Keycloak, remember, in the auth service, we have the auth users. This is responsible for registration. So we whitelisted the URL. And for the get, we need to put all the microservices. So all microservices must have the public, so that we won't, if we are developing a new controller, we just put the public first, then we whitelist everything in the gateway, so that we don't come here in the gateway and try to modify things. We try to make sure that everything in our service, the controller must start with the public, then you put anything that you want. Then for the port, this was for send verification email, and this was for forgot password. Then in the POM XML, I modified, I put back the MVC. I didn't know that Spring is now supporting, Spring Gateway have a dependency called MVC. So in the application YAML, where we are saying Spring Cloud Gateway route, you have to add this .mvc. So this to add .mvc, this allows our security configurations to work. So this is for whitelisting. You see, I'm just whitelisting URLs for each microservice. So social, messaging, and auth. And if there's a specific URL which is not part of the public, I just say I put that URL direct. But make sure everything must be in the public, so that we don't modify this config service, this security config on the gateway, unless we introduce a new microservice and we just do this, and here we put the microservice name on both methods, on all the methods. So this is done, and you can see now our gateway service is now registering on the console. So thank you guys. If you are new to this channel, make kindly subscribe, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever we upload new videos. I hope you learned a lot. We managed to create nodes, adding relationship, updating relationship. If you have any challenge, let me know in the comment section. I'll try to help you, but you can learn more these Cipher queries on your own. They are easy to follow and they are very easy to understand. Everything is achieved through relationship and nodes. Let's meet on another video. Salut coders.